Hi again then guys, and so we've got another Gran Turismo 6 Special Projects replica build for you today, and this time it's a replica of the Mitsubishi Evo X FQ-400. So this is a relatively simple replica to make, pretty accurate actually as well, both visually and performance-wise to the real car. And this is the kind of replica that's good for maybe a more beginner level. It's a very easy car to achieve a replica of. So as always, I'll show you first of all what I've done to get the visual look of the car, then of course go to the garage for the mechanical setup, and finally out to the track to see how it performs. So for the visual look of this replica, we've gone for the Type A body kit, which gives you this enhanced chin splitter. It also gives you enhanced side skirts and a slightly bigger rear lip. But it is of course mainly the large chin splitter that fits in with the look of the FQ400. There is a flat floor which you could fit to make the diffuser larger and more aggressive. I've chosen not to do that, mainly because I wanted the handling to be fairly loose like a road car, whereas the flat floor does give you a lot more grip and downforce, so kind of personal preference there as to how realistic you want it to be. For the rear wing, obviously we've left that stock. For the rims, we've fitted it with inch-up ones, and then we've gone for these 9-spoke GT rims, which actually look very similar to the actual FQ400 wheels. For the additional meters, obviously it's down to personal preference, but I've gone for the boost, revs and fuel gauge, and for the colour I've gone for a hue of 219, saturation of 75 and brightness of 20 to match the existing HUD. Now, I'm slightly colourblind, so I may be a bit off with the colours there, so again, go with whatever you feel is right for the car, or a completely different colour completely. Obviously, it doesn't have to go with the blue. As far as the paint colour of the car, I've gone for a pearlescent colour. Now, obviously, being a road car, you can pretty much fit it in whatever colour you want, because it's not a replica in that way. But if you do want the same colour as I've gone for, it's brilliant blue pearl. It has kind of a dulled, slightly matte look to it, which looks really good on this Evo in my opinion. And it actually comes from the Volvo C30. For the rims when you fit them are actually not as silver as they initially look. They're actually more of a dark grey. So I've fitted them with a proper silver, brilliant silver, which comes I believe from one of the Mercedes models, but it's not that hard to find a decent silver just to make that look a bit more like the actual rims. And I've colour coded the brake calipers to the same colour as the body of the car. So that's it for the visual setup of this model. So now let's go over to the garage for the mechanical setup. So being as this is of course a road-based model, I've fitted it with sport soft rather than racing tyres, but obviously just go for whatever you want. For suspension, I've got the ride height on the front a bit lower, just to give the car a better stance overall. 85 on the front, as you can see, 105 on the back, which sounds like it would look like a hot rod, but it really doesn't. That just evens out the ride height. Springs we've got relatively low on 725 and 425, again to keep it handling more like a normal road car that's just been enhanced, rather than a pure racing machine. Dampers to 4. We've tightened up the anti-roll a little bit to 5. We've got no camber and tow at all, because with the all-wheel drive, for one thing you don't need it, even the camber, but also it makes the car more inclined towards drifting and just makes it more fun to drive. For the gearbox, obviously it's not a top speed tune, so we've got an auto setting of 180, then we've rounded off the gears to 30-25, 20-60, 15-20, 11-70, 9-45 and 7-90, with a final drive of 3.8. For the diff, we've made it handle a little bit more towards the rear wheels, with the initial torque and acceleration on the max at the back and halfway on the front, and then the opposite with the braking. For the torque split, again inclining the power more towards the back to make the car more tail happy, with a split of 30-70. For the power, we do have an oil change, so bear that in mind, and then we've got the race exhaust, primarily for the look, and the exhaust manifold, and the mid-range turbo, and then reduce the power down to 99.1 to bring us to the same power as the actual FQ400. And then we've got stage 1 weight loss with a 190 kilo ballast put all the way to the back of the car to both improve the weight split and also to bring us up to the actual weight of the real FQ-400. And as you can see, it actually sits almost perfectly at the 500 pp category, which is a great payoff. Obviously, if you do fit the flat floor, it will have a higher pp. I wouldn't recommend doing so because it wouldn't be hugely competitive above 500, whereas it sits there quite nicely as it is. So that's it for the mechanical setup of the car. Now let's finally go out to the track to see how it performs. Overall, this car fairly obviously isn't designed for competition purposes. Now, as it happens, it might be a competitive 500 pp racer on some tracks, but it's not designed for that. It's designed just to be a replica of the car that's just fun to drive. And the fact that it has no camber actually really allows you to throw this car through the corners. And the handling is so good that you actually don't even need racing tyres for it to handle as though it's on racing tyres. There's enough grip to be fast, but not so much that you can't have fun with it. And it is a very, very fun car overall. So, for those of you guys who do decide to fit this tune to an Evo and try it out, I hope you find it, of course, fun, potentially competitive, but above all, fun. And that's it for this build. So I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.